Every year I bring a lot of my houseplants from indoors outside because I know that they're gonna be fantastic. So in this video, I'm gonna show you guys 5 different tips on how to manage and maintain a lot of your houseplants outdoors for the summer. Let's go. What's going on, my plant peoples? I am the ADHD gardener, where I use gardening, houseplants, and humor as a form of mental health therapy. And as you can see here, I got a lot of houseplants. I have a lot of houseplants that are actually mixed in with my front flowers lawn, but there's a reason why I actually put them here. I have my spider plant out here. It is looking a lot better now that I brought it outside. I have my coleuses out here. These are gonna look really good indoors with popping some color. I also have this one. Oh my gosh, I always forget the name of this. Always forget the name. Look at this plant. Now this plant was so sad, yo. Look how sad that was. Oh my goodness, that's looking pretty bad. But it came back as soon as I brought it outside. I also have a spare fiddle leaf fig that I just so happened to pick up in the Lowe's clearance, of course, and is looking really hurt. So I brought it outside and now it's growing new shoots. I can always propagate these pieces, start a new ficus tree. Now this is a propagation of my large 5-foot alocasia, but as you see here, it was not looking the best because this died. So I need to keep that one leaf alive. So what did I do? I brought it outside. Tip or reason number 1 as to why you would bring your plants outside is because bringing your plants outside will actually give them a boost. If you have your houseplants indoors and you don't have the right amount of light, your plants are going to be struggling, and a lot of my houseplants were struggling because I need to kind of figure out my light situation before wintertime. Bringing your houseplants outside has its advantages, not only for the sun, but for the environment. Depending on where you live and what type of houseplants you're bringing outside, because let's say, for example, I'm in Pennsylvania and it is really humid out here. Like super humid. So all of my tropical plants should ideally be outside because this environment, the humidity plus the sun will just boost and give extra growth to all of your plants. Houseplant tip number 2 when bringing your plants outside is actually knowing what plants belong in the sun and what plants belong in the shade. Every plant, and especially our houseplants, they all have different sun requirements. How much sun do they get? Do they get bright, indirect, bright, direct, or just all shade, partial shade? You know the deal. So you have to kind of figure out what houseplant works well with the sun or the shade. Now right here on the side of my house, I get a lot of shade. I get shade for about 3/4 of the day. Now, does this area get direct sunlight? Yes, it does. But again, it all depends on what kind of houseplant you're putting in there. Some houseplants can handle a few hours of sun, but they need shade. As you see, monsteras do not do well in the sun. This is a sunburn, okay? So I thought that if I leave this here, it would be all right, but it didn't. Look at that burn. That's pretty bad. I have my yucca plant over here, and it needs to get moved out of the sun. Now, normally this plant likes sun, but too much sun will lead to sunburn, as you see here. Some plants can tolerate more than 1 or 2 hours of direct sunlight. However, a lot of them cannot. So even just the smallest amount of sun can really burn this plant. Plant tip number 3 is watering. And when it comes to watering your houseplants outdoors, it's a lot different than indoors. Us plant people know the deal about overwatering and underwatering because I'm sure you have some plant deaths like I do. Now, when it comes to watering houseplants outdoors, I actually water a lot more frequently than I do indoors. Indoors, the environment is controlled. And well, for the most part, we want it to be controlled. So we're not really watering as much as you would outside. Being that you're outside and you're exposed to more sun or just more natural environment, it has a tendency of soaking up a lot more water than it would have indoors with just a regular light. Watering also depends on what type of plant you're bringing outdoors. Remember, we have to pay attention as to watering because not every single plant, not every single house plant has the same watering requirements. Just like the sun, same thing with the water. If you accidentally overwater your plant outside, I would not worry about it too much because if you have a hot day coming up in that week, it will dry up. So that's not really a problem. I have not experienced any root rot in any of my plants outdoors because they have a tendency of just drying up in the sun. So I don't really have to worry about that. Now, when it comes to underwatering, that means you're not watering enough. That is what can harm you when you're outdoors. Oh, you can definitely tell when a plant needs a lot more water because check this out. Dead leaves, dry leaves. Something is not right with your plant. So if you see this, chances are you need more water. I water my plants at least every other day. Out here, I may not water them every day, but it also depends on your temperature. If you live in Arizona, chances are you're gonna be watering your plants like twice a day, okay? If you live in somewhere where it's a lot more humid, or maybe you get more rain, then you may be only gonna be watering like, what, 2-3 times a week? It all depends on your environment. It all depends on your temperature and how the weather is. Plant tip number 4 is hiding your plants. Now I know that sounds a little weird, but yes, we're gonna be hiding our plants. And what are we gonna be hiding them from? A lot of things. Now I know that sounds weird. Why would you need to hide your plants? But this is a very good reason why. Look at that sun. I'm in the shade and yet I still have sun beaming on me, right? You may not have any shady area. And let's say you want to bring your plants outside, but you don't have a tree or something to provide that shaded area. Well, you have a few options and when it comes to hiding them from the sun. What I do is I hide them behind a plant that's already loving the sun. It may not take away full sun, but it's going to be taking off a good portion of that strength. That shade from a sun-loving plant may not provide a lot of shade, but is going to be a lot better than leaving it out in the sun and letting it just crisp up and die. So you're going to be hiding it. Now it's kind of a cloudy day, so you see that there's not much sun over here, but when the clouds are not around and it is full sun in the afternoon, all of this is covered in sun. I even have my Monstera Adamsoni here. Now you notice again, more sunburn, more sunburn. This does not work out, so I had to hide it. Now if you're gonna bring plants outside and you don't have an actual shady area, you're gonna be hiding it with other plants that can tolerate a little more sunlight. So I have this kind of hidden in the corner, so when the light hits, a lot of these larger plants will get hit with the sun first, and then little bits of sun will get hit in the back. If you don't have any sun-loving plants out here, that's all good. You can actually use a shade cloth. You're gonna use something to just kind of block off that sun, or at least the direct sunlight. The direct sunlight is the problem. Now, if you can just kind of like buffer that direct sunlight, then you have something going. Then you'd be all right. Hide it behind your cars, hide it behind bricks, hide it behind anything, top it over anything, cover it, something to block that sun. Hiding your plants leads me into plant tip number 5, which is hiding your plants from animals. Now that could be a little bit tricky depending on where you live and what type of animals are in your area with your house plants, or any plants for that matter. Now where I live specifically, I only have to worry about larger animals, not the smaller ones. I have rabbits, groundhogs and all that, but they don't really go for my house plants. They want the veggies. Now those animals are a problem for my vegetable garden, but not for my house plants. What I do battle with is deer. The inevitable deer. Deer are everywhere. Deer likes to eat everything, okay? So you're gonna have to be careful as to where are you going to be putting your plants, because you know what? Once that deer or any other animal spot your house plants, that's a wrap. It will kill your plant. It could possibly just chew it to death. You never really know, which is why we're gonna be hiding them. You're gonna be camouflaging it. And what better way to camouflage it is by mixing it in with a bunch of other plants that doesn't really point out that specific one. Now I know I said about 5 tips only, but that hiding your plants thing kind of took up like 2 of them. But the plant tip number 6 is actually fertilizing. Now when do you fertilize your plants outside? Now right now I'm in the middle of summer, so I'm fertilizing very frequently. I'm fertilizing at least once every 2 weeks. Now vegetables is a different story. Now if that plant is in a specific plant growth spurt, you see a bunch of new leaves going, then I would fertilize once a week. I know that may sound like a lot, but we're in mid-growth time, we're in summertime, and if all the conditions are right because you have your plant outside and it's got the right amount of sun and you got the right amount of water and everything, chances are you're going to need to fertilize. So don't be stingy with the fertilizer, people. Don't be stingy. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know down in the comments below, do you guys bring your plants outside? And if so, how well do they do? I would love to know. If you did enjoy this video and you want to show me some love, then don't forget to smash that like button. I really appreciate it. Also, if you haven't already, then consider subscribing. I drop a video every week and then some in between. Also, don't forget about the notification bell, because without the bell, you won't know I'm dropping a video. And last but not least, you can catch me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm on there all the time. I drop funny memes. I love to keep some humor in my life. I post a lot behind the scenes, and also every now and again, a girl has got to vent. Last announcement, just saying it, and I left it for the last of the video because for those that are still here watching this video, by the way, I really appreciate you. Now, if you are still watching this, I want to let you guys in on a little thingy, and that is called, I'm working on my Patreon, I'm working on my website, and in the future, I'm going to be live streaming because a little circumstances have changed in my life and I could really use a lot of support. So until the next episode, you guys, where you and me both are gonna be growing our happiness one plant at a time, one day at a time, I'll catch y'all on the next episode. Peace and love. Inside is, what the fuck is with this fucking bugs? I water my front lawn, oh my God, these bugs. How many times am I gonna get like flies swatting my face, beetles crawling on my arm, got ants crawling up my legs? What's a city gal to do when it comes to bugs?